Hello guys, I know it's been a while. Hey, I've been having a bit of a vlogger's blog. I don't know if that's a word, but yeah, I haven't been in the mood to do a video, but at the same time, I've taken enough time for myself. I've learned about certain things, educated myself about certain things that I've never understood before, and yeah, and it worked. So today we're going to be talking about marriage, and mind you, I've never been married before. These are my opinions based on how I was raised, based on the marriages I've seen while growing up, based on movies I've seen, books that I've read, people experience that they've shared. So this is all based on my environment. Like I said earlier on previous videos, I always say that we're the product of our environment, be it bad or good. So I'm gonna first of all give you the textbook definition of marriage and culture and tradition. Let me make this clear to you. This topic was inspired by a post I saw on one of my Instagram followers' story. So I'm like, you know what? I think I should talk about it because it's been in my head for a while, and I think I should let this know. So I'm going to talk about traditional wedding marriages from my part of the world, from Africa, from Nigeria. So I wouldn't say entire Africa because I haven't been to everywhere in Africa. So I've only been to 2 countries in Africa. And so I'm gonna, first of all, let me define the textbook definition of marriage. So according to Google/Wikipedia or dictionary, it states that marriage is the legally or formally recognized union of 2 people. The legally or formally recognized union of 2 people, not 3, 2 people, as partners in a personal relationship. That's the definition. And I'm going to define culture now. Culture, the ideas of custom and social behavior of a particular people or society. So that's like the common definition where 2 of us understand, yeah, being passed on in this way. So it's tradition is like custom practice from generation to generation, you get. So my father had 5 wives, I have to have 5 wives. So it's like that, like just like that. I'm just using that as an example. So that's like the textbook definition. So I'm going to bring it down to my own level here. Why I decided to talk about it, or what's my opinion about people talking about white wedding and the traditional marriage. I can't believe I'm drinking that loud. Yeah. So when the guy posted that thing, I was a little bit pinched, and so I said, I want a small wedding. I'm not a big fan of a big wedding. I can wake up on Monday and say, babe, let's go get married, and we can go to the courthouse. I mean, sometimes my sisters call me and say, oh, you're not married yet. You get. So I'm that kind of person. People will say probably I do not like people, but maybe you're right. You never can tell. But yes. So in my perspective, in my idea, in where I've grown up is where I was raised, I realized that in our tradition, and the traditional marriage benefits one person than the other person. Let me explain that. First of all, don't get me wrong, I like our culture, I'm obsessed with it. I'm an Ishakiri girl, we have this lovely attire, we have like 4 attires that you wear, it's so beautiful. The culture, the costumes and all that is always very beautiful. But then again, what people don't get, I don't see myself as a goat. The exchange of, oh, someone dropping money for me, I do not fancy that. And then there's a family who they feel like it's just the man's right to pay for the entire wedding. You get, he has to pay for that. Some will say you have to renovate the wife to be's parents' house. Some will give you so much lease and all that. So the pressure is always on the male figure, like he has to do so this, and then that's another family. I don't know if it's an entire culture. Like some cultures do practice that, and I think one of the culture I admire a lot is the Yoruba weddings, because I've seen thousands of weddings where the father says, "I'm going to pay for my daughter's wedding." That's it. You get. But from the side that I come from, and a lot of people do that, I realized that the wedding ceremony and everything is all on the man. And I've seen a lot of African girls who they be like either tired and they say they're done with school. The next thing they say, oh, let me just go and get married. You get, it's like the last resort for a woman Like a lot of women, like they're right last resort. So this business is not working. Oh, let me go get married. The ideas that the society has put on them is, oh, after college you're supposed to be getting married. Oh, let me go get married. And that's another pressure on the female gender. Don't get me wrong, they pressure the male gender too, because once a man is oversized, they're like, oh, you don't have kids, you're not married, you should be married. I've first-hand seen stuff like that. And let's come on the main marriage now. The main marriage here is the traditional marriage benefits the man more than the woman. First of all, let's forget about that old diary stuff and money being spent by the man. Now, why I say that is the traditional marriage actually benefits the man in this order. A man can marry more than one woman and there's no consequences. He can actually marry on top of another wife. You get? But a woman can do the same. Even if the marriage is damaged and the woman had to move from the house, she can never marry someone else except the bride price has been returned. It's like that. So back in the, I remember my grandmother saying something back in the days, your husband can just come home and say, oh, I'm marrying another wife, and then the woman doesn't have to say. She was like, she doesn't have any other thing to say than to welcome the idea. You get, oh, he's having a wife, oh, another wife, and welcome the wife. And so it's like that. You can just wake up and you can be the nicest woman on earth, and the man will just wake up and say, oh, I'm marrying another person, as like what I was taught, like the way they were raised, the way our grandparents were raised. They were raised to please the husband no matter what. They were raised in the perspective that the man is always right. So if he's going to marry first and second, third wife, it doesn't matter. He loves you. You are still the first wife, so you are more important. But I don't feel like I defend about marriages. Marriage is between two people. You get two people in a relationship, not 3 or 4 people. So when that guy posted it, I said, I want my marriage to be my marriage. So irrespective of how I celebrate it, it doesn't matter. It is my marriage. You get it? So I might wake up on money. I can't, to be honest. I've been with people I've dated a few people who I've been around. Don't judge. I know a few people who are not from my part of the world. They practice different culture and religion. You get? So I've been people who are obsessed with African culture. Oh, I love this. I once dated this guy who's obsessed with African culture. He brings different. I don't know where he finds this African wedding. He said, oh, we're gonna do this, right? So I don't, like I said earlier, I love the culture, like the old costume, materials, and all those things, the ceremony. I love it. But the main tradition, I do not fancy. I love the culture, but the tradition, I do not fancy. The tradition that a lot of people still have their jealousy. Oh, you can marry more than my wife. It's okay. It's our forefathers did it. And I mean, I remember recently somebody said, oh, why are marriages ending up these days? Why the marriage don't last these days? Yeah, they'll be like, other people will be like, oh, because they're not behaving like our grandparents. They want something back then when something is broken, they men don't trade away. Let me let you know. This generation knows better. This generation knows that they come first, their happiness matters a lot. This generation don't believe in, oh, I have to suffer because of my kids. I know some people still really practice that, but I don't think it's best for you to. I've seen people dim their lights for their spouse. Oh, I want him to be. I've seen people crush their dream just to make their spouse's dream come true. And this goes both ways. Whether you're a man or a woman in a marriage where, in a situationship or in a relationship where you have to dim your lights to please the other person. Please, that's the wrong thing to do. A person who loves you, a person who loves you will be by you, make you shine bright. Under no circumstances would they bring out the worst in you. You get it? So don't have the ideology, marriage is the next plan. Or it has to be the plan. I know, I love it. I love the idea that someone wants to start a family. I love the idea of starting my own family, having kids. I want the full house. I had full house growing up. I have 5 siblings. I want my kids to have siblings to grow with. I love the idea too. And I'm sure you love it too. But I think there's a better way to go about it. If you get to a stage in your life where you'd be like, oh, I want to add this, and then you have someone who believe in that idea, believe in that, has that perspective about life. You have a spouse who believe in that, and then have a discussion and say, because I've been with people who I've dated that I don't think they'll make good fathers, to be honest. When I'm in a relationship and I'm like, I like it so much, then I think about it to the essence. I'm like, if somebody asks me and I'd be like, I think about my future kids. Is he gonna be a good father? Is with the ideology that you have, I'd be like, oh, I want to mess with this person, but not in my own future definition. Me, I'm different. Don't get me. I'm a modern woman. I believe in expressing your sexuality. I believe in accepting who you are, regardless of what people think. So I don't really care what people think. But in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is that don't buy the idea of where people say, oh, the modern marriage is, oh, it's the African culture, oh, it's the Western culture. Why do we have to do the Western culture? Like, it's the white people's wedding. Why do we have to do that? Why do we have to practice that? Your African culture, your traditional marriage per se, do not protect you. Do not protect you for certain things. Do not protect you from battery. Do not protect you from infidelity. You get in that pattern of marriages. I am not forcing this on you. I'm saying that when you want to be in that kind of situation, when you feel like it's time for you to get married, think about it. If you're the kind of person who wants to have kids in the future, think about your kids too. Think about your happiness, because you come first. Don't do it. Don't be like, oh, the society says a man has to live. Yes, the Bible says a man has to live, but at the same time, without a woman, that man can be there. Without a neck, there's no head. Without a neck, there's no head. The shoulder, they all work together. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, and then again, you have the ideology like, I want to get married. There's some people there out here, no offense, there are people out there who don't want to have kids. I was watching a movie the other day. First of all, on their wedding day, she almost called off the wedding. And then the guy, because she had a job, because if she's getting married, she has to move to a certain place. She stays in New York, and the man used to work in New York. Then he just opened a new company in California, and they talked about it. She planned on moving there. But it was a particular place. 2 days to her wedding, her boss gave her the position that she have always wanted. It's about to talk to the guy about it. She put it in her head. So on her wedding day, she didn't want to go to the wedding. She was everything. The guy was sad and everything. So one way or the other, they discussed, and the guy said, "You can take the job. We can be suffering between California and New York," which was cool. And then they got married. She knew from the very beginning that she didn't want to have kids. She also knew that the guy loved kids. These are discussions she was supposed to have before getting married to this person. But yet she led the person on for few months in, and then she got pregnant and she had a miscarriage. She was so excited. To be honest, she said she was happy that she had a miscarriage. She doesn't think, first of all, she said she wasn't ready to have kids, and the man was cool. The man was like, okay, 5 years time we can think about it. Only for him to find out that she wasn't actually ever ready to have kids. He was pissed and he moved out of the house. And then I was pissed that you can't deceive people. These are the kind of discussion you're supposed to have before getting married. Oh, do you want to have kids? How many kids do you want to have? Do you like a big family? How do you want the family to be like? Those are the discussions you're supposed to have between you two. Say a couple therapy if you have to before getting married. They used to call them marriage counselors. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I might not get a cut because I do not know everything. I'm just saying. So I grew up. But that's it. And I grew up in a place where, it's so mad. I'm bringing my grandparents in. My grandparents were married for over 50 years. See, my grandfather died at 91. I grew up, I used to think that they were so in love. Then when I was 16, I realized some of my aunties were not better than my grandmother. I could see my uncle and my auntie, they are just 6 months apart. I was like, how's that even possible? Then I realized that we have to have kids. Between those times, my grandfather was cheating and he had this baby. And so when he had baby with this mistress, the mistress brings the child to the house. Then my grandmother takes care of the child. So it was like that. You get it? And I'm like, how does this work? How does it work? First time, second time, he already had kids before they got married, but how does it work? Does he have to be like that? So I'm not saying that you should take my idea. I'm just saying that there's no manner for a a successful marriage. Marriage is not a reward for good behavior. You can't keep saying, oh, I'm a good girl, I'm supposed to be married now. No, marriage is not a reward for good behavior. You get? So there's some people who don't literally have to get married to start a family. If you get to a stage where you be like, you have this money, you haven't found a man to marry yet, or you think you want to have kids, I encourage this. If you're a woman who wants to have kids in the future and you're a little bit old school like I am sometimes, and you think, oh, you know what, I can afford it, let me freeze my egg, do that. You get, if it's 30, you get a 30, thank God for modern medicine. You can freeze your eggs and then this is what you are. Do not buy into the idea of, oh, you have to live like your mother. Buy into the idea of the traditional idea, or should I say the culture where the theme was that a woman is not supposed to explore, or a woman is not supposed to do this, a woman is not supposed to be richer than a man, a woman is not supposed to lead the home. And I really hope someday, and apart from that, I really hope someday, like a lot of you, realize that it's not just a man's responsibility to spend for the wedding. You can decide to pay for the cake, you can decide to pay for the venue, you can buy your dress yourself. Not everything doesn't have to be on the man. They have to be, be considerate. You're getting married. Oh, babe, okay, you know what, we're getting married, and maybe the guy used to stay in a 2-bedroom apartment before a 1-bedroom apartment. You'd be like, okay, you know what, babe, since you want to get married, I can ship into the rent, let's rent a bigger space. That is a good idea. If you're in a relationship, you want to get, because I kept saying, I've told myself this, that if I get in a relationship to a point, I would want to move in with my partner at least for 6 months to get to know each other better. I would chip into the rent if that's important, if that's necessary. Get to know each other better. You don't literally have to get married to move into somebody's house. If you buy the idea of getting to know somebody else, because auntie, uncle, you cannot get to know somebody for just weekend. Because if I'm coming to your house, I can be on my good behavior for 3 days. You get, people can pretend for a long time. You get, so get to stay with somebody, get to know each other, be open to good ideas, good things. Like I said, let your marriage be your marriage. Let it not be the society's wedding. Because I've seen a lot of people borrow money to get married, and that's the wrong thing to ever do. People run into debt after wedding because they are owing venue, they are still owing the chef, they're still owing this. They borrow so much money because of what? The police society. If you have 10 people in your wedding and you have 2,000 people, you are married. It's not going to make your marriage successful. It's not going to make it unsuccessful. So let your wedding be your wedding. Don't buy the idea of, oh, Karen did this, let me do this. Just so you secure your future, secure the future of your kids. Marry legally. Do not say, oh, it paid my bride price, so that's cool, I'm married. If you want to be married, and if you want to secure the future of your kids, if you want to be safe, if you want, I'm not just saying all this, you get, I'm not talking about prenup, I'm just saying that get married legally. Do not buy the idea of, like I said earlier, I love my culture, you get, but I do not fancy the tradition. You get, I do not fancy the tradition. I really hope someday in the future, they do not try to extort a man because he's trying to get married from the family. They shouldn't extort a man because he's marrying. Don't extort a man because he's marrying your daughter. It shouldn't be like that. But that's my own idea, I guess. That's the end topic for marriage. And like I said, I know I might not get it cut. I've never been married. But I really hope someday, you guys, if you think that you have to get married, get to know your spouse better. Get to know what they like, what don't they like. Weekend is not enough, you get. So yeah. That's all I have to say to you. Have a nice day. And it's over 20 minutes.